This is a trigger warning and explicit language warning for an interview between myself and Kyle Carnahan, my mentor from Superhuman Fathers, a man who I owe so incredibly much. And he's also, since we're talking about suicide and dentistry, he's the first person that I called when I had a dentist who was suicidal and was trying to figure out how to support him best. So if you're religious and easily offended, if you're not religious and easily offended, offended by or triggered by descriptions of what firefighters see and first responders see when it comes to suicide, and also just if you have sensitive emotions, generally easily offended, you might be offended watching or listening to this episode. So I really, really enjoyed it, and I hope you get something out of it. Welcome to Next Level Dentist, and I am so incredibly grateful for this opportunity to talk with my mentor, my friend, someone who I owe so much of my life to. So much of what my life looks like right now today is because of this man, Kyle Carnahan. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Hey, we're just fumbling along, bro, and then the ping pong balls hit together, and we get to just experience these miracles and look in the mirror and go like, I don't know, who am I? Like, I
How
get
did
to
we get
I
here?
get I get to do this. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no, exactly. And for those who don't know who are listening to this podcast, I joined Kyle's group 2 years ago now in June. He has a group called Superhuman Fathers. So there was an event in San Diego. The DEO was holding a conference, and I was a member of that mastermind. And Emmett Scott, who was the host of the event, he's the CEO of DEO. He got on stage and he shared this before and after of who he was. I think he lost like 60 or 70 pounds. He went from like 290 to 220 or something like that. Just insane transformation. And he's got kids who are teenagers and going off to college. And he's like, I feel like I can keep up to them for the first time in my life. My marriage is better than it's ever been. My energy at work. And I was in a dark, dark, dark place. And then he invited you on stage and you just lit the whole room up. And I wanted it. I was like, I've never had, number one, I'm so burnt out. I'm so miserable. I need to do something. And number two, I've always been the soft nerd who's never been strong, never been jacked. I've never like looked at the mirror and been proud of myself. And I literally found Emmett's kids and I had them drag me to your table where you guys had a little booth set up, and it was just shut up and take my money. It was the
Yeah.
Futurama meme. Like I had no clue what I was signing up for. I didn't have any questions. After I swiped my card, I was like, so what is this? Do I have to go to the gym or can I do this from home? Like I had no clue, but I knew I needed it. And everything good in my life since then has come from that decision. You saved me from the darkest place I've ever been. Your program, the men in your program, helped me turn around my marriage and get honest with Christine, make really big changes in my life, make huge career pivots, and now Next Level Fathers, which is my life's work and passion, is modeled off of Superhuman Fathers. Just a whole bunch of us nerd dentists in a room trying to work on ourselves. So that's my intro to Kyle. I could go on and on and on, but Kyle, thank you.
This is how we're changing the world right here. And
Yeah.
and I appreciate the staying connected and remembering where you came from, because I do the same. I was given these kind of understandings and gifts to be able to do this for other people from other places, and I always give respect to where I came from and who taught me. Most are not like you. Most go off on their own and they cut off and they become like this competitor, and they actually go after your own people. They'll like try to steal your people.
Hmm.
Even the people that are closest to me that have done that will do that. You, stoic dad, um, uh, the Father Forge, Clint Markland.
Yeah, Clint.
You three are my G's, dude. Like, and we stay in touch, and then we're not fighting for anything.
No.
If somebody, even Clint, like I was on a call and one of my guys, I was like, hey, he's my one-on-one guy. I go, dude, don't pay me the next 3 months. Go with Clint because he's got something that you need to learn from him that I can't teach you.
Hmm.
All right. So we're just like helping people with what we can. And then I've got like some snaky cats out there that we changed their life, dude. Like saved their marriage, lost a bunch of weight, and then they just break away and talk shit. Just
Oh
a
yeah.
bummer, dude. So
No.
I appreciate you very much and your integrity and what you're doing and why you're doing it very much.
Thank you. No,
Heart after my own, bro.
your the audience is gonna be like, these guys are just gonna sit here and compliment each other all day long because we could, like, we legitimately
Yeah.
would.
Yeah. We're like, you would think we were gay.
And I will say, I can't ask Kyle to filter himself. So if you have kids in the car, if you're listening to this podcast episode, it's a pretty heavy topic. We're going to be talking about dentists who, are prone to suicide and preventing and getting past that darkness, going through that darkness. Kyle and I have been in some dark places and helped some people in dark places. So it's a
Let's talk
heavy episode
about
anyways. Plus, I can't get Kyle to filter himself. So no kids in the
no.
car is what I'm saying for
Well,
this episode.
I'll tell you why. Because all you motherfuckers are liars. You wear masks. You're afraid to be authentic, and you're afraid to speak your mind. And everyone's trying to fit this cultural box. Okay, how do I be a good American so that everyone sees I'm a good American? What do we do in the culture? And then at church, you're like, okay, I got to look spiritual and righteous, and so you're all fake, and you're actually all sifted, and you're all hiding behind masks, and which is exactly why you get depressed and want to kill yourself, because you have a different face out in the world than you do at home. So, or at work, it's all different. So we stop bending to culture, to norms. And I tell my guys, when in doubt, just get fucking weird. Like every man has his own just way of being. And when he finds that, man, there's so much freedom. And he has the ability now to lose the fat, to get disciplined, to feel empowered, to be creative. So, I we talk to couples too. We coach couples, and a lot of times they're really nervous to share the same shit that everyone deals with, but everyone's hiding, but they're all the same. You see Instagram couples that are just like everything's perfect, all smiles. I love my husband. I love my wife, and that's all they post, and that's all they talk about, and they smile at church. I've never met a couple that doesn't struggle,
Yeah.
ever. I've never met one. Worked with hundreds and hundreds, and the ones that are the worst are usually the ones that look the happiest. And when I say worst, who cares? It's just life. It's part of life. Darkness is a part of life. And as we get into this conversation, we're going to really paint the picture of how normal it is for a guy to dream about a bullet coming out of the back of his head.
Hmm. That that right there is, I think, what people are not willing to say, which is, when someone has this dark of thoughts or is in as dark of a place as they get, and then they feel completely alone, like no one else has ever thought these things, it is only me. And then all of a sudden they just close off. They don't open up to anyone, they don't share with anyone, they don't reach out to anyone, because they're just like, I must be so broken, I am the only one. And the way that I would love to structure this, um and I'll say for the audience here, so there's going to be men listening to this, women listening to this, dentists who, like, have lost people, who have had people commit suicide in the profession. But the reason I have Kyle on here is that, number one, he took me out of the darkest place in my life through a journey I never thought I would go through. But number two, he's the person that, when I was working with a man who I was worried about him committing suicide, Kyle is the one that I called. I was like, Kyle, what do I do if I'm worried about this guy who could potentially lead to self-harm, lead to taking his life? How do I intervene? How do I help? And you were the first one I reached out to. And having been a first responder, having been a firefighter, having worked with men, in this community format that you've built, but then in person, and kind of helped them through the worst of their demons, you've been on you can relate to it to yourself. You've helped people change their lives so they don't get to that point, or they get past that point. And you've also intervened in moments where someone is like actively trying to take their life. And that's the overarching conversation I want to have here. So starting with that first one, like I I shared we just had our first men's retreat for Next Level Fathers, which is a bunch of dentists, like superhuman fathers. We're trying to work on ourselves and using a fitness journey. So getting in the absolute best shape of your life to also be better husbands, fathers, disciples, all of that. And we hold each other accountable. We are every single day checking in with each other. We're running this daily play, running this daily game. So we got together and had a retreat this weekend, and I shared with them a lot of kind of the darkest stuff I haven't shared with anyone, including there in the last year and a half, there's been 3 moments that I have seriously, like even considered suicide. And one was on sitting on the edge of Eagle Creek Reservoir with my Tesla, and just feeling like my marriage, my business, everything would just be better if I just took it to the bottom of the creek. And just sitting there parked, like wouldn't answer my wife's phones. She was like getting scared. She was sending me messages. It was really, really dark. I had some undiagnosed stuff going on. I didn't know. I didn't know I was bipolar. I think this is the first time I'm saying this publicly on air, but and I didn't know what demons I was carrying. I was overcoming a lot of different things. And then there was another time, I'll one of the 3 I'm not going to share, but the other time was I was sitting in the parking lot of Walmart looking up Indiana gun laws. And there's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's pretty easy to get a firearm in Indiana, is what I learned. And I didn't go in. I didn't purchase anything, but I just felt like, what would this look like? And starting to form a plan. And I never ever thought in my life I would be at that low of a point. And I understand. Like I don't want that to be an option. I don't want that to be on the table. I don't want to walk away from the pain. I don't want to walk away from my family. But now, having seen that door open, I can relate to people who've been that dark, who've been that deep. And being in your group was the first time that I felt allowed to be broken and to be open about that brokenness, and that was okay.
Yep.
So from your side, you shared in your book, we read at our men's retreat, a book that you wrote about just over 100 pages long, called The Undeniable Man, where you share a lot of your story and your journey. But can you share with us the circumstances that led to you really getting to that same place that I was just talking about?
Yeah, I was a selfish, blind, undisciplined little bitch. And I didn't know it. You say man, I found out I was bipolar. I'm like, who the fuck's not bipolar, right? So,
which is the reason that I don't like saying that I'm bipolar,
no, I
is
like
because
it.
of just that. Yeah.
I like that. It's like when people are like, tell me, like, I've been diagnosed with PTSD and this and that. I'm like, okay, cool. What do you want out of life? And they tell me, and I'm like, so I guess that shit doesn't matter then, because it's resistance. Okay. So cool. You got some more weight on the bar. What does that mean? That means you're fucking stronger. Jesus Christ, dude. Like I tell people, you've been blessed with this. This is a blessing. 1, you can connect with people. 2, you're broken. Congratulations. Guess what happens when you're broken? Jesus can speak to you. You want to be broken. If you're not broken, God can't speak to you. You commune with God in your brokenness. Congratulations. And it's just a different view of the game. It's like you would be better off in life having this door open of this suicidal thoughts and have a direct connection with God. That opens a porthole to deep spirituality, because you can see the dark door that's trying to suck you in. You can see it. There it is. And you're like, fuck you. No, I can feel you. You want me, but I'm going to deny you and I'm going to choose light. Whereas someone else could just be walking through life ignorantly. I don't know what it is. This is where like atheist is like, oh, you're just a crutch. You just use a crutch. That's why you need God. And it's like, just wait, bro. Yours is coming. You know, like you'll see. But until you actually experience the darkness, you don't understand the light. It's like you can only understand the opposition of how far you've gone into the dark. There's a guy I just talked to who was part of Superhuman Fathers, and we got to the end of our event, and I was going to give him. He doesn't make a ton of money, and he was a posted guy. I mean, he got his physical transformation, so I just gave him this crazy deal, and he goes, I think I'm going to do it on my own. I go, you're fucked. You need a tribe, bro. But in the moment, his marriage is good. He's disciplined. He's like, I figured it out, bro. I go, you didn't figure out shit. You're on day fucking one. Your intentions were to show off and get validation to get to this point. You actually have to find a new foundation of your motivation, which is insignificance. You need to seek that now, right? Otherwise, you'll go back. He's like, no, I'm good, bro. So I just got off a call with him. He's like, dude, laying on the ground high as fuck with a 45 in my hand.
Oh, goodness.
And I go, I got two things for you, bro. One, I'm so glad you experienced that. So glad. And I'm so glad you're here with us still, and that we're on this call. Number two, I fucking told you, stupid. And he's like, I know. So for me at that time, like, I was worshiping false gods, but you just don't know. You got to climb the ladder of false gods to find the everlasting God, the real God. You wouldn't know. You can't just. This is why people that like are raised in Christianity, they don't appreciate it. They don't get it. They check the boxes, and it's not real because they don't ask the questions. The questions will bring you into the dark, right? They don't ever pull away and go, "What's out here?" I'm not saying you should just go like do cocaine and hookers and like just like go ruin your life, but I'm saying you got to ask the questions. And so I truly believe, I had God when I was a kid, but it was, I went on a mission. I did that whole thing. But it was, if I go back to my intentions, I wanted to be known as a spiritual giant. I wanted the culture of my church to look at me and be like, this is one of our strong warriors, right? And a lot of people will be like, oh man, that's bad. You have bad intentions. No, this is life. You have to be born and work through the intentions of your heart and worship false gods. What would that be? So in my case, I was like, okay, I got to prove I'm successful. So I get home from my mission, and I was like, okay, who's like making money? Because that's like the thing. You got to make money, and then you're like valuable, and people respect you. So I started working at a bank, and I was like, okay, who's winning here? Those guys? Okay. And I cracked down, and within a couple of years, I'm like top sales in the top spot. And people are like, man, how did you do this so fast? I'm like, man, I want to be the fucking man. So I do the work required. And I was feeling pretty badass, and I made it. My wife's got a house. We got a kid on the way now. We got a skate park in the backyard, and people come over, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I did this. Yeah, you know who the fuck I am, right? Yeah. And so then the market crashes, right? I lose my cars, my houses, my 401k, all my savings, gone. And I'm broken. And I'm like, what? Hold on, God. I did missionary work. I held the line when I was a kid. I, I said no to all the bad things. I followed you. And then you do this to me. So immediately my faith is starting to wane in God, because I was pointed at, hey, success and money, which was really my God, even though I was saying God was my God.
Hmm.
But I had this assumption that if you did good, God would just bless you with everything. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand the purpose of life. I didn't understand sacrifice and suffering and giving your will to God. The closer you get to Christ, the closer you get to the cross, which makes it harder, not easier.
Hmm.
So this is where people get messed up in their head when they get put in a bad spot or they run into difficulty or inconvenience or my life's not going the way I want. No shit, that's the point, right? But we don't know then. And so I became a fireman, saw a lot of real dark shit, a lot of suicides, a lot of death, watched a lot of people die in the back of my ambulance, middle of the night, walking into, someone blowing their shotgun in their chest or their head blown against the wall. And I was going, there's no God. There's no way. And if there is, like I say in my book, fuck that guy. And that's where I was at. Right. So now I'm utterly alone
Yeah.
because I lost my heavenly father who I trusted. He doesn't exist anymore. And now I'm a new fireman and I'm nervous as fuck. Like I'm getting hammered because I suck at the job because I'm new at it. So I'm with these fire crews that are like just ripping on me all the time. I'm not part of the brotherhood. You got to earn your way into that shit, you know? And they liked me, but there's no coddling in that world. It's like you either step up and find yourself or you get crushed. And part of that game is like, okay, what mask do I have to find? And then I get beat down more. My knees get all messed up. I injured my back. Now I'm in the office. So now I'm like getting fat and I'm weak. I'm physically fucked up. I don't have the confidence. Me and my wife are kind of drifting apart. I fall into porn because I'm looking for something. And that was really the first time the door opened up for me, where it was like, and I actually prayed. I remember praying, which I hadn't done in forever, yelling at God, like, do you want me to kill myself? Is that what you're trying to do to me? And that's when the door opened up for me. Now, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
Hmm.
Because in that dark pit, I found the new version of me, which was, fuck this. I'm doing this. I don't care about anything. I'm doing this. I'm going to become the best fireman this world's ever seen. I'm going to beat porn. I'm going to heal my knees and my back. And I'm going to do this. I've been thinking God was going to do it. I was thinking somebody else was going to. Nobody gives a fuck. So I'm just going to roll like that. And so that opened up this new version of me, which was disciplined, which I hadn't really found yet.
Hmm.
And so I just went all in on that and started to worship another God, the God of discipline, which in other words was the God of me. And you know what? It worked until it didn't.
Yeah.
Because my ego started getting huge because I got lean, I got jacked. I started not taking shit from anyone, which is all, look at this process. God in his wisdom teaches you a little bit at a time. He says, hey, try this one, and you'll get pieces of it as you go through your path. And then what happened was I became a complete and utter monster asshole, which worked in the firehouse, kept me safe and protected. Like I grew teeth, but my teeth started biting my kids and my wife.
Hmm.
And
They
so
respected you at the firehouse, but now your family's afraid of you.
yeah. And my wife's like, yeah, this isn't going to work. She's like, she's out. And I'm like, what do you mean you're out? Like, do you see this motherfucker that I built? Like, do you know what I do for this family? Do you know what I go through? Do you know what I built? You don't respect me. You don't appreciate me. Possessed, dude. And there was another time there, disconnected, unrespected by my family. I wrote about it in the book. I was going to move to another fire department because I'm driven as fuck. I was like, bigger fire department, greater opportunity. Let's start over. I'm going to go through another fire academy at 36 and I'm going to keep rising. And my neighbor, she's like, I'm not signing your shit. you're a child abuser. I was like, fuck you, child abuser? What the fuck are you talking about? It's like, I hear the way you talk to kids. That was a shock. Just squirming all night, tossing and turning. The door right there still. What, am I still a piece of shit after all this? Like, I'm a fireman. What are you talking about? And that opened up a new understanding to me, like, what is this man that I need to build? Because before I was this people pleasing nervous pussy that wouldn't take control of his life. And on the other hand, I'm this like powerful man that doesn't take shit from anyone, that's taken control and respected myself. And neither of them would worked in my life. So I'm still going like, how do I put all these pieces together? Do you want me to kill myself?
Yeah.
And that's where Superhuman Fathers kind of begins, because we had to take these two sides and figure out how to morph into this superhuman father.
Hmm. So, I just think about like, and this is a weird way to put it, but in dentistry, when someone has been around for a while, they've just done enough reps. They've done enough reps of big surgeries, of full mouth rehabilitations, of like doing these big veneer cases, and crap goes wrong, and it's you learn how to deal with the complications. Like that's the difference between someone doing their first 5 cases and their 500th cases. It's just like they know all of the things that can go wrong. They have tools to prevent things from going wrong, but they also have tools to clean it up when like this is just inevitable. Stuff happens and it no longer surprises them. So what I'm thinking about you is reps specifically in this arena of like you saw, I mean, literally the aftermath of suicides as a firefighter. And now you in Superhuman Fathers, since helping and coaching broken men, like I want you to try and like think about numbers. Like how many suicides do you think you saw in as a firefighter? And then how many men have come into Superhuman Fathers and at some point, either before the program or in the program, um, talked about this or had this impact your life? Can you put numbers to either one of those? Just like ballparks. Obviously, it's not accurate.
Yeah, hundreds of dead bodies and thousands of men that saw the door and talked about it. Because those aren't just people I worked with. I talk 90% of the people I talk to uh, are so broken and broke that I was torn inside because I'm building this business, and there's people that I would talk to on the phone and then like kind of follow up with, but I'm like, shit, I got to make money, which
You
is,
can't run a business on charity cases, and so
dude,
you take calls with guys, and I've had this happen on my first conversation with someone. They tell me about the worst moments of their life, about their depression, their anxiety, about their
yeah,
marriages, about their suicidal ideation, and a lot of them don't pull the trigger and join Next Level Fathers. So this is exactly what you're talking about. When you say thousands, it's people that you hop on for an hour and try and help them come along and join you on this journey. And then also people who are in your program who open up to trauma, they open up to these experiences. But I want to frame that for people because there is a different level of like like this is almost your world. And
yeah,
and
yeah. I,
and
I will say this.
yeah.
I came to reconciliation with that. With the closer I got to Jesus and really started understanding um, that as a truth, the concept of salvation. I realized like I can't leave these people behind. So we built a foundation. We have a place for everyone. I can't ever leave those people behind anymore. I can't save everyone. I don't do it anyway. I just try to provide the space and the environment, right?
The framework, yeah.
Yeah, but that was a huge piece of reconciliation of like my inner turmoil of not being able to help these guys. And so, I mean, I'm at the point now, bro, that I'm like, I give two fucks about money. I, I was trying to build an 8-figure business, and that ended up being one of my gods. I didn't realize it was leveraging me in helping men. because I had my way. And God was telling me in my writings, I write those prayers every morning. You've done the stacks, right?
Yeah.
And in my stacks, God would be like, I'm sending you droves of men, droves, thousands. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're gonna hit that 8-figure mark. And I put this 15-minute VSL out, or ad, that was like the most uh, authentic version of me with my story. And my calendar starts just filling up with $5 appointments. It's like, brrrr. I was like, this is it. The promise is fulfilled. I talked to first guy I talked to. He's living in his car. Second guy I talked to, he's an active violent criminal who's like, I saw your ad and I need to change my life. Next guy lives in a trailer. He's like, I had a gun in my mouth last night, and it just at one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, and I just stopped and laughed. I just was like, oh, you didn't, you meant, oh, okay, I get it, I get it. I know who I'm called to. So
This is like the people who are the most broken have the least tools to do anything about it. And I send people, if someone is like, hey, I'm interested in next level fathers, but I'm not dental, I'm not in the dental industry, I don't have any connect, I'm like, go talk to Kyle. Like he's got, not only his program, but you now have this nonprofit foundation. And it's incredible. It's incredible as a ministry that you get to like both help people that can afford more help and more connection and access to you, but then also provide the space for truly broken men who don't know where to go, don't know what to do. Give them the tools. Is the same, because you didn't have a mastermind, you didn't have superhuman fathers to pull yourself out of the darkness, to transform yourself, to find discipline, to find purpose. You just stumbled through it. And so it's like,
yeah,
for every 10 broken guys, if you give them the tools, maybe 2 and 3 like can take that and run with it and just say, okay, this is it. This worked for Kyle. This worked for these guys. It's going to work for me. I don't have the money to jump in and do XYZ. And this is like, it's powerful in the reach that you can have. So, but I want to go back to the suicide point, because I remember when I reached out to you and I was asking like, hey, I think one of my guys, I'm worried about him. I'm how do I help him in both a crisis and on an ongoing basis? Because there's these moments of darkness where like everything comes caving in, but then there's those moments in between and there's the building of the momentum. And there was a sense I got from you, and I've had this in other moments in your program, where you know what's under your control and what's out of your control. And ultimately, when it comes to suicide and when it comes to people's, ability to open up and be vulnerable and come to all this, there is a real like, okay, I can set the example, I can be vulnerable, I can help them, I can hop on calls, but ultimately that is someone's decision and it is not in my control. And I think you, having been in the firehouse and having seen that, like there is a piece in you that like, if they did do that, say that they talked to you and they were like, Kyle, this is where I'm at, can you help me? And whether you help them or not, and then they end up taking their own life, they end up moving forward with it, that you wouldn't be sitting there saying, what else could I have done? You would mourn for them, you'd grieve for their family, it would be awful to get that news. But at the same time, there is what is under your control and what's not in your control. Is that accurate for me to say that about you?
yeah. Like, and there's a callous, it becomes a little bit of a callous piece in you. But that's the reconciliation between being able to see all that shit and have this anger towards God and not understand it. Look, man, eternal perspective. You have to have an eternal perspective. You have to see beyond this life and have a spiritual understanding of what that means to you. And then also, like, my reconciliation with understanding God is like, God's a savage, dude. He is not raising pussies, right? He needs us to take responsibility. And the only way to take responsibility is to have responsibility.
Hmm.
And so when you tell a guy, like, who's in that spot, you're like, he's like, I just want to kill myself. I laugh. You know, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. No. I go, oh, yeah, you're in the pocket, buddy. I'm like, how are you going to do it? And they're like, they'll either say, like, I'm just going to shoot myself or I'm going to take these pills, or they'll go, I haven't really thought about it yet. I go, you ain't that dark yet, bro. Stop being fucking dramatic.
Well, and that
Like,
was that was the question that you asked me. Is when I said, "Hey, Kyle, I've got a guy I'm really worried about." You said, "Does he have a plan? Like, does he actually has it
yeah,
gone from suicidal thoughts to suicidal ideation where he's
yeah.
got a laid out plan?" Because it's a different level of seriousness in terms of like how bad the moment is getting. And
Victimization, manipulation, different level of that. All this is victim, poor me bullshit. And you got to help a guy see that and call to the beast inside of him to be like, so we're just gonna fucking give up. There's just no meaning. I just don't see a future and this and that. And it's like, look, bro, like I'll just pick apart like what they've done in their past, the hard things they've been through, and what is the purpose of your life? And they're like, I have no. Shut the fuck up about. I have no purpose. Like, let's just say you don't kill yourself. What is it you want to create in this world and do? Like, what's important to you? And then have them paint that out. And then you go, okay, well, we could just fucking quit. And usually guys who get to the spot are a lot of times are real driven guys, you know,
hmm,
like dentists, like they've done a lot of hard shit, man. Like they've done impossible shit to build their practices. And it's like, what if you just would have killed yourself back then? Look at all the people you've helped. Look at your family and your wife. Like, look what you've done. What if we just would have quit back then? What's waiting for you, man? And why do you think you feel so much resistance? Why do you think this darkness is trying to swallow you? Why? Why would the resistance be there? To stop you from accomplishing your mission. So are we going to believe the lie and just quit? Or are we going to surround ourselves with people to hold us accountable, breathe life and hope into us so that we can see past this dark fog of lies and stories that are going on in our head that are all bullshit and ruminating on lies? So we just got to unpack that shit and create new stories. And then all of a sudden they're like, that's crazy. I couldn't see when I was there at all. You're throwing a baby fucking fit like a 5-year old. That's what's happening. I can't do this anymore. It's a threshold thing. So we got to raise the fucking threshold of pain, stress that you can deal with. And then we got to go into the story of Jesus. You have to, I'm telling you, there's nothing like the concepts of Christianity to take a man out of a dark spot and bring him to the light. This is
hmm.
why people will hear me and they'll be like, oh, he's a Christian guy. I can't listen to him. Fuck you. Do I sound like the rest of these guys? Like, I'm telling you, I've tested everything. I've tested it all. There's nothing like Jesus to come in and bring a man out of the darkness.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing works like it. Scientifically.
The line you said, and this is what has been the biggest breakthroughs with that guy that I was working with in particular, that I felt like, okay, he was in my hands to help in this moment, was the reframing of the stories. And Jesus is the ultimate reframe of the story of redemption and possibility and hope and forgiveness. But at the same time, all of their negative spiraling, self-pity, frustration, giving up, they can't see their way out, is a series of stories that they've told themselves and they've bought. And it's they almost in that moment don't have access to other stories because they're so attached to those stories become reality. And so your gift is the ability to shock a man and wake him up and distance himself from those stories and give him a new story. Just
The
crack it.
hammer.
Yeah.
Crack the frame of their way of thinking. Like that's the way to do it. And what did I say in the beginning? When in doubt, get weird. Authenticity shatters frames.
Yeah.
Then we can start anew.
Ultimately, the there's this Chinese proverb of, and I'll probably bring this up on this podcast like 40 times. People will get sick of me talking about this proverb, um, which is this idea of who knows what is good and what is bad. And it's this story of a farmer who loses his horse. The horse comes back with more horses. All along the way, good thing happens, bad thing happens. Good thing happens, bad thing happens. And his neighbors are always like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And he's just like, "Who knows what is good and what is bad?" And they're like, "That's weird. Like, we were trying to express our condolences." And then they come back, something good happens. They're like, "Congratulations, you're so lucky, it's so amazing." And then a bad thing happens. And he just has this frame of like, we don't know the end of the story. And what Jesus does and what you do is to say, no, that thing that you think is the worst thing that's ever happened to you, the thing that you feel like is the worst thing you've ever done or that you hate the most about yourself, is actually your greatest gift. And that is what Next Level Fathers has been for me. Freak. Um,
Yeah, there it is.
is to take the shit I've been through, the shit I've put my wife through, um, feeling trapped, just like trapped in dentistry, which is, it's so funny because we have so much, we're blessed with so much, and then you can feel so miserable in the midst of it all. And now, rather than hating who I was that got to that moment, I'm grateful that my pain and my journey can help someone else see a way out.
Mm.
And that's what you did for me. That's what Superhuman Fathers did. And now I get to turn around and give that gift to other dentists who, we think we're these special unicorns where there's so much of being a clinician and a business owner and the appearance of success, but you're secretly broken and hiding it. And just yesterday, I'm talking to a guy who has incredible anxiety around his practice. He's like, I know it's irrational. I know I'm attaching this to my practice, but I complained to my brother who has like a handyman business. He's like, what the hell do you have to complain about? Like you're a dentist, like you're rich. Like how can you be complaining with your first world problems? And so when dentists are in that space, they just close off. And so that's why creating this stupidly specific Venn diagram of dentist, you know, likely a practice owner, father, spiritually driven, all of these things is who I'm looking for. And male dentists, like I've had female dentists who are like, I want the fitness transformation. I'm like, I don't know how to lead broken female dentists. I don't know how to transform them. And the guys can't open up in a mixed gender setting. If they're struggling with pornography, if they've really screwed up their marriage through some of their actions that they've taken, and it's a mixed gender setting. And even then, like CrossFit, there was a pastor, well, the leader of some congregations, a stake president, who shared with one of the coaches I've worked with, an overcoming pornography coach, and he told that coach, he said, "Do you know what the biggest problem in our congregations is?" He said, "It's CrossFit, because men and women go together, they transform together, they talk, they have this journey, they create these bonds, and then they think they've left their spouse behind, and they go and have an affair, and they blow it all up." And the reality is when you transform, you create deep bonds. And I'm fresh off of this men's retreat this last weekend where it felt like 13 best friends hanging out and like pushing each other, opening each other up further, and just like working on ourselves at the deepest levels. And like you can't create that friendship almost in any other way. It's why like Navy SEALs become friends for life, because they've done hard shit together and they've
Yep.
transformed together. They've become new people together. So this little Venn diagram of like broken dentists, dentists who want to be better, maybe they're successful, but now they're not happy. They're asking what's next. This is my little world. And I'm going to help these guys because I know how to help these guys, because I've been this guy. I've been both broken and successful and unhappy. And it all gets hidden and mixed and they don't know where to go.
Yeah, I have to say too, your transformations are so good, and you pumped out so many so fast. Like that's how I know you got it. You got the thing, and it, it's hard to find. It's hard to get guys to move. And what you have is you have the thing that frees everyone. And maybe we can even give your listeners this right now, a little gift. So, like, we all go through life with this self-hatred, this unworthiness, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just always there. And in the depths of our soul, we know that we're not worthy. And this is the pain. We're just not worthy. We're trying to prove our value somehow to the world, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to build our business. We're trying to look a certain way. We're trying to get validation. Now, the first step that where you think you make it is like when I decided, hey, I'm going to do this, right? So then I turned into self-validation, but I'm still seeking validation. So I'm trying to prove to myself.
Yeah.
I said fuck the world, but I'm still trying to prove to myself that I was worthy. And then you get caught in this trap of growth where you're just like if you're a dentist, you're like, all right, I'm going to build another office. Then we're going to get our revenue up to 3 million in each office. And then I'll be worthy. And then I'll be proud of myself. And then they find themselves at that peak looking in the mirror going, I feel the same. And then it's this madness of spiral of like that 10 million. 10 million will do it. Right? Meanwhile, we're getting fatter. We're literally a zombie to our wife and kids because all we can think about is proving our worthiness through our success. So this thing of unworthiness.
Yeah.
Now the question is, okay, I don't care what your beliefs are, but let's pretend that there's like this entity that is perfect, and the whole purpose of this life is to return back to that place. So you ask a man, like if you were to ask me, like, hey, are you worthy to enter into the kingdom of God and stand in the presence of perfection? Fuck no. I can give you a long list of reasons why I've messed up and why I can't. Like recently, like
Not in
let's look at
theory, not like 5 years
yeah,
ago, but like in the past 2 months. Yeah.
let's yeah, like the past like 3 days. So so if that's the case, then and then people kind of seek it, right? They're like, okay, well maybe if I just say I'm worthy, this is why going to just you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. It doesn't fucking work. Because the logical mind will not accept that.
Yeah.
It'll try to. It'll go like, okay, I'm just going to accept that I'm good enough. I'm just going to accept it. But your brain will not let that happen because you're going to have all these reasons why that's illogical. That doesn't make sense, right? And so we have to figure out how to cross the chasm, which is my whole book, right? How do we cross the chasm from this unworthiness, worthless piece of dust to being able to accept the love of God? And the gap is crossed in one way only, by our sins being paid for by another. This starts to logically make sense, but it seems like a too good to be true fairy tale. We're just like, okay, we made up this story about some God that came down and paid for my sins. And it's like, okay, I still don't get it, right? The difference is this: the fruits of the actions of faith. So I'm on a call with a guy yesterday. I get on the call. He ain't in a good place. In fact, he's dark, and he's actually negative, and he's actually pushing back against me right away. My new program is $1 for 30 days. I've taken away all excuses to these motherfuckers. So this guy, he's already in. He's paid $1, and he comes on and he's like all standoffish and shit. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see what happens here. I started sharing this concept with him, and he starts bringing up that he's wrestled with pornography since he was 11, and that this last year he's really been trying to overcome it. And I go, are you still stuck in it? He goes, yeah, I'm still stuck in it. And it's really bothering him because it's also affecting him getting up in the morning and going to the gym and eating right. It's this discipline thing that he can't seem to get a hold of, right?
Yeah.
So hold on, my light's getting weird. There we go. And um, so I go, okay, well, watch this. I say, hey, brother, listen, I was stuck in porn for 7 years, and and about 3 months ago, after 7 years of not touching it, one night I reached for my phone I scroll, I Google, and I'm sitting here watching some porn. I lead Superhuman Fathers. We coach couples. I'm very, like, my face is out there. I preach against porn. And here I am looking at it. I have this awakening while I'm looking at it. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that? The flesh will always try to come back and get you, which means it never goes away, which means you're never actually over it. Me revealing this to him and now telling him about how that night we had a couples call, and I told all the couples. So there's these wives sitting there going like, we follow this guy? What? Right? And I told my wife in the morning, and my sweet wife is amazing. She's like, really? That's weird. She's like, I'm sorry. I've been neglecting you. You know, we built that relationship to where my wife just trusts me and understands these concepts. And, and I said that call, that couples call, I've never been more powerful in my life on a call than when I exposed my sin in the place where you never would, because the consequences are so high. I felt this rush of power. I felt this love for my people, my love for myself, love for my wife. And I said, that's the fruits of penitence. Those are the fruits that you can prove. And that is the essence of Jesus. This man who doesn't believe in God, who feels unworthy, breaks into tears. And I said, what is that? He said, I don't know. I've never felt this before. That is the essence of Jesus. As a concept, you don't even have to believe in anything else other than truth and penitence. Test the fruits of what he taught. Scientifically see, does this work? Oh, wow. It's actually the key to everything. Even if you don't believe, do the actions, but you have to have the balls to have the faith to step into it. So that man felt loved and trusted, because who in their right mind would share that story who's trying to sell him something, right? So he's now not alone. He's never had anyone be so authentic with him. And two, he felt the spirit of healing by him being authentically true. And that was his first moment where he goes, oh, I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to understand the chasm and where my heart needs to go. So when you guys are like, oh, this is a Jesus guy, you have no idea what you're talking about. And I would ask you to drop your ego and realize you don't know shit. And to a certain extent, neither do I. But we have to test the fruits of the actions. And I'm telling you, if you're in a suicidal place, tear yourself open and expose yourself in a place like with Richard or with Superhuman Fathers or at church in a men's group.
Yeah.
Have the faith to spew it. And what you'll do is you'll not only free yourself, others will pop up and say, me too. Help,
Yeah.
I'm going to share mine. And then you have this rush of what they call the fruits of the Spirit, which is that love, that peace, that clarity, that understanding, that eternal view. And then all of a sudden, you're the opposite of where you were in just a moment.
It's a gift, to be honest. And I think that is one of the things that does lead to people who can't get out of the darkness. They can't see their way out, is they are unwilling to share. And maybe a few people know how dark things are. A few people know, how bad it's getting, but it's so hard for them to open up and share unless someone else sets the example. And that is the whole point of this. And that's why, I mean, I've seen you've set the bar very high in terms of things you are willing to talk about on social media. And I'm creeping up there, but I have a long way to go. But to wrap this conversation up, I want to ask this last degree of intervention, because I think there is, number one, both of us have been there. Both of us have been to a dark enough place where that became an option that we started to consider. you've helped people change who have been there in the past, who are there right now, who are going there in the future, really make changes to their self-respect, their ability to lean into pain, their ability to be honest, their ability to drop shame, their ability to come to God, to turn it over to Jesus. And then there's like the people that are, in that ideation phase and how you can intervene. You've also been in the situation where like people are trying to take their life actively in your presence. So I want you to share your experiences with that, to wrap us up, because this is the topic, and I want to weave that thread through and pull the depth of your experience and everything you've been through, so that people have a different perspective and a skill set, a toolbox of like, okay, what if someone is actually like truly suicidal right now? What can I do?
Lighten it up first.
Okay.
Just and share your shit. So whatever, you don't want to like try to empathize if you don't get it, right?
Don't
But
fake.
don't fake like something and try to compare it to theirs in the moment if it's not, right? But the cool thing is people have been through shit. Most people have been through shit. And then also, if I'm always struggling with something, always, whether it's my son that I'm struggling with right now, financially, I just went through an absolute devastation that I had to pull out of, and I'm still not out of it, which is also a very good thing to share with a guy who's struggling in anything, because he's exposing himself. So I'm going to go, hey, let me expose and shame myself with you. I'm going to go get in the mud with you. So now that I'm in the mud with you and I'm not above you, or I'm not trying to preach at you, I'm suffering in my life. So thank you, God, for my suffering. I was thinking last night, dude, we had this couples call, and I can relate to guys who are struggling, because I am struggling in so many ways in my life. And God blesses you with this so that you can connect with others. And a lot of the guys I work with, it's their marriage. And I realize God has protected me and my wife, and he's devastated me in every way, except he's held me and my wife together. And I was like, wow, you you've protected the thing that I value most and hit me in every other way, but you protected me so that I could see, and you gave me this gift. And that's a story change in a place of gratitude. um Billy, man,
Yeah.
like that guy,
Tell
I
that story.
he was in the crack house, man. We pulled him out. We he lost him and his wife lost like 150 pounds together. They came together. He built a multi-million-dollar company. He's cruising along, and then what inevitably happens, man? Darkness comes, difficulty comes. The demon gets expelled, and 10 more come back and attack as a gift to raise our threshold. Well, it got him. So he kind of dropped the ball in his business. He started looking at other women. He started having this panic again, this poor me thing in his head. And he calls me. He's in his truck with a shotgun in his truck at the gas station. He's like, I'm just going to pull the trigger, man. And I'm keeping him on the phone. And I get my other phone and I call the cops in his area, call the police station, have them go out there while I'm on the phone. And he's like, oh shit, I got to go. I'm like, yeah, I know. So they end up taking him to jail. And 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 I was like, shit, I could feel my soul talking to me. It's like, get a plane ticket and go. At this point, Billy's financially destroyed. He's not paying me. Like, he's my friend. Like, so I get on a plane and I go in the morning to the jail, and he doesn't know I'm there. And I'm with his wife, and we're checking him out. And he comes out and he sees me, and he's got like, I thought we were gonna fight. I was ready. Billy's a tough motherfucker. They called him Diablo in jail because he gets in a fight, and this guy's going to fight him, and he puts his head down, punches him in the head, breaks his knuckle, breaks his other knuckle, and he had these 2 bumps on his head. So they called Billy Diablo. That guy's a tough motherfucker. He's like a pit bull. I was like, oh shit, here we go. And he comes over and looks at me, and I just go give him a big hug, and he just broke into tears, and I just held him for like 5 minutes. You know, he was so just broken and alone, and to be able to be there when he came out, you know, needing nothing, just knowing that he's not alone. And we went back and we went through all these things again, and we opened up the Bible and we reminded him of the chasm and the gap, and we reminded him of Christ's representation of taking darkness and turning it into light to the nth degree with his life and his sacrifice, and that all darkness with God is flipped on its head. And that when we understand that and have that as our spiritual story, that every difficulty is a blessing and a benefit. Then he starts to open his eyes and see again, and then he built his business again. And then, but this will be repeated in men's lives over and over again. There'll be the downfall, you'll be held in captivity, and then there will be an opportunity for deliverance.
Yeah.
And in that deliverance, God is waking you up, he's showing his hand, and he's reminding you to get on your knees. But see, if everything's just perfect all the time, we will forget and we will not value our life, nor will we value the gifts that God has given us, or especially the greatest gift, which is his son, who sacrificed himself so that we could cross the chasm. We won't appreciate it. So when a guy's in this dark place and you can help him see that, then he'll wake up again. But it's hard to see in the darkness. It's hard to see your hand in front of your face. So you need to be the light that goes into the darkness and goes and gets them and says, hey, I'm here with you. Look, I'm fucked up too. I feel the same. Come with me. And that's how you do it. You can't do it from a throne. You can't do it from a high horse. You can't do it from a, I'm not willing to expose myself. Let's just, you're fucked up and I'm not. It doesn't work that way. So the best thing you can do as a experience as a leader who goes into the darkness is to be going through hardship.
Hmm.
And so if you want to lead, you better pray that God gives you wisdom through experience. And by stepping into that, you're asking for a Job-like life.
It's terrifying.
It's discipleship, right? The
Yeah.
closer you get to Christ, the closer you get to the cross, which means, God, please bless my business that it might be abundant. Bless me to be happy. Bless me to be filled with good feelings all the time. Or, God, I trust you. My will is yours. Bless me with wisdom, with patience, with endurance. Bless me with the character traits. Take my heart and break it if it is not pointed towards you. Root out the deceptions of my soul that I cannot see. Show me my weaknesses so that I can be strong, not for me and not for my kingdom, but for you and your ways and your path. This is an internal decision that will protect you from that dark door, because every time you see it, you'll be reminded of the glory of God.
I have described the way that you run your business to you and to others is you strap yourself to the mast of the ship and you just literally say in the midst of the storm, Jesus, take the wheel. And I've seen you pivot and burn it down and change completely, change who you're helping, how you're helping. I remember one of the first couples calls that I was on when I joined Superhuman Fathers a few years ago was you and Whitney arguing because you were starting to have faith again. And this was the couples call, was like, no, we left that behind. And you're like, no, I think we should go to church again. And like, you're reading the Bible again. And I'm like, what is this? And seeing your evolution of your business and your willingness to take whatever difficult path God puts you on and just embrace it has been truly inspirational. And I think at times I lack the faith to say I'm still like, God bless my business. You know, I'm still in that phase rather than bless me with the trials that will allow me to help more people. So you've shown me the next level, and I am that's hard. That's hard, Kyle. That's really hard.
Richard, when you get a chance, go find a quiet place
Yeah.
and get on your knees. Maybe do some writing. Maybe read a little bit. And there's this place you can go where you genuinely give your will internally, right? But this should be a tearing and a very scary experience, because when you actually inside hand your will over to God, um, there's a level of trust, because in reality, like, who is that guy, right?
Yeah.
Who's this all powerful God? And in the flesh, we understand transactions, right? In the flesh, we do things to get things, and so it's hard for us to see a God that's not trying to take advantage of us or need us for something. He doesn't need us, but we have to trust that when we lose ourselves in Him, that the blessing is we'll become more authentic, more free, more powerful, because we can now be blessed with more power because we don't desire it. It's like we don't get the throne or the crown until we don't need it, and we're willing to give it back at any second.
Yeah.
And so there's this moment you can find where you genuinely internally make the decision to hand it over, and it should be a tearing and it should be terrifying. Um, and it is the most freeing experience of jumping off the cliff.
So I will say, the prayer that Josh Beloff in our group gave me, which is my favorite phrasing of this, is God, I give you everything and everyone. And every single morning, the first thing I do is get on my knees and go through every promise I've made to God, number one, and then say, I give you everything and everyone, and figure out where am I still attached? Where am I still attached to Next Level Fathers succeeding?
You're doing it.
Yeah.
So this thing I just told you to do, and here's what we do to ourselves. We go, man, I'm not there yet. And then someone goes, are you not? Like, are you not?
Yeah.
Now we're always going to be clipping attachments that we can't see yet, right? That's the
Yeah.
move. But consider the fact that you've already done that.
And every day that is the first thing I do, because we just get reattached. We just forget. We just like reattach to what we want, and not suffering, and having all the things, all the comfort, all the success that we want. Kyle, uh, this was a gift to get to have this interview with you, and you're not gonna like this. I'm gonna put like there's going to be a trigger warning at the beginning of this episode because
No, it's good.
there's a good segment of dentists who um, are not ready for this in various ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
If you're a judgmental pussy that can't see the truth uh, beyond your own judgment of others, you're going to struggle with this.
yeah. Um, but in this is like the best. This is the best of the nuggets of your journey, of your pain, of the help that you've offered to other people in the darkest of places, not out of theoretical, like, oh, this is how the studies show that you should help someone who is suicidal. It's like, this is how I've helped people. This is how I've gone in the pit with the darkest of moments, with some of the darkest of people at that moment. And this is reality. This is how it works. You point them,
This
you get in there and you point them to Jesus. And
This, yeah, this is why most therapy doesn't work for people. This is why they put people on meds all the time, and they just go, "I don't know, bro. Take these meds, just shut it all off." It's like, no, that's not the fucking way. You know, your therapist isn't going to be like, "Oh, let me tell you all the times I cheated on my wife, and then I did cocaine a week ago, and I'm struggling with that, and I got these kids, and this and that, and my marriage is." They're not going to do that. They're going to go to their book, and they're going to be like, tell me about your childhood. Oh, interesting, interesting. They're going to sit on their fucking throne and do that. Now, I'm not saying therapy is bad. You should do that.
yeah,
But in reality, the healing comes from this. The long-term change, shift, and transformation is different than just putting a Band-Aid on it.
Kyle, if someone's listening to this, how do they find you? How do they learn about either Superhuman Fathers, about your foundation? your social media? Where should they go?
Yeah, Superhuman Fathers on Instagram is the easiest way to get a hold of me. I have a small gathering of some messages and videos on YouTube. I've never really gone fully into the YouTube game. My phone number is plastered everywhere. You can go to superhumanfathers.com. I'm actually restructuring my entire front end message of disciplined discipleship. That's what Superhuman Fathers is. That was my leap off the cliff of letting go of the old way of pushing business and making money to, okay, God, this is yours. It's not mine anymore. So I don't know. Am I turning into a pastor? Is this turning into a church? I, I'll just take it where it leads me, man.
It's definitely a ministry. It's definitely what you're called to, and it's enjoyable, man. There is no more satisfying work. And people are like, "Oh, you're not clinical anymore. How is that?" And to be honest, I don't mind clinical dentistry. I don't mind. I love pulling teeth. Some of us dentists are monsters and just feel really good about ripping out a ton of teeth, putting implants in, doing big surgeries. But nothing could be more fulfilling for me than taking a man in the darkest of places and giving him hope and changing his
Yep.
life and using a fitness journey. You're the one who taught me this. You promise them abs and getting disciplined and shredded, and then the real transformation is absolutely everything else. But we have to go on that disciplined journey to find the discipleship, to find the new version of ourselves that we've never met before, and that ultimately is who we want to become.
Yeah, I'll say this to finish. So I'm very aware that I'm not everyone's cup of tea, right? I get attacked from both sides. There's like the hard motherfucker crew that followed me in the beginning that are like, oh, now he's a Jesus freak. What happened? This is stupid. I'm not listening to this. And then I've got now the Christian world that hears me talk and they go, that guy's not Christian. You can't talk like that and be Christian. So I get attacked from that side too. So now I'm in this middle getting attacked from both sides. And I have conversations with God about this. What do you want me to do? Yeah, like who do you want me to be? And he's like, stay in your lane because there's people that will hear your voice and understand, and only you can break through with your authenticity of who you are. And this is why it's really powerful to have Richard doing this too, because some guys are going to resonate with his vibe, his experience, his work, and they're not going to be able to hear me, right? They're going to be like, I can't do this with this guy. Like it's too crazy. And so it's like that's how it works. Different people hear the message with different voices. And so, it's really cool to watch Richard and Stoic Dad and Clint and with their own personalities, their own authenticity to be able to create their own brotherhoods and do the same thing as we spread this thing throughout the world.
I love it. Thank you, Kyle. Thanks for coming on. Thank you for everything. I owe so much to you. And I know this is going to benefit some people, and I know it's going to piss off some people. And I think it's fantastic. I'm excited.
Appreciate it, man.
Okay, we'll talk to you next time on the Next Level Dentist podcast.